One of the things that I love the most about Luffy is that no matter how completely oblivious he is to the situation, he always finds a way to enjoy what is going on. That is what it means to be free, to be a free spirit, to be someone who is completely unshackled to the rest of the world. Hello, Internet. I am the hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1118, The Most Free. Our artwork for this week is the continuation of Yamato's cover story, where all it is just Yamato leaving the Flower Capital, eating some food. So, really not much else to say about that. The journey has officially begun to do the pilgrimage that Odin did. The chapter itself starts with the Iron Giant sinking deeper into the ocean. And as the Iron Giant's sinking, the transponder snail with the giant actually finishes off just a couple more sentences from Vegapunk, which is hilarious because, as we all know, the last chapter was like, those of you with the D in your name, there is and we didn't hear anything else. And of course, the speculators went all haywire and flew out in all directions and said, okay, here's the entire Vegapunk speech. And of course, Oda said, wait, there's two more words. That name. It could be that person's name because there's a bit of a ksh between the two words, that and name. It could be that thing's name, that country's name. It could be, among you there is a country that you all come from, or among you there is a place you all must go, and that place's name, or that, country's name. Whatever the reason, just a couple more things. So we know most likely it's going to be a person. Vegapunk was probably saying that there's an imposter among you, or there's a fake D, and that person's name is this. Who knows? I think it might actually be tied to Vivi as a celestial dragon, because if her ancestry was Nefeltari D Lily, then obviously Vivi is a part of the D clan. The world wouldn't know that except for Cobra reading all these records and stuff. So maybe Vegapunk's research told him that Vivi's a member of the D clan, and now it's time for everybody to know that too. As the transponder snail is cutting out, the Iron Giant is sinking deeper underwater, and he says to himself, "Where did you go, Joy Boy? You were just there. You were right there on that island, weren't you? But you are gone now. Where did you go?" Every time we've seen the Iron Giant power up, it's been because Luffy went into Gear 5th. So obviously the drums of liberation, Luffy's heartbeat, is what kind of turns on the Iron Giant. Because Luffy is currently powered down, the Iron Giant has no reason to be powered up. I think that's the reason the five elders were able to just push him into the ocean and hope that did it. But we'll see a little bit later where that goes. Meanwhile, the Marines, having watched the Iron Giant get shoved into the ocean by a giant boar, are actually starting to notice the five elders. They're starting to see this giant pig monster. They later on see the Itsumade flying around. They're like, what's with the giant firebird? The elders' true forms, or beast forms, whichever way it is, are starting to be seen, and we know how private they are about themselves, considering they said everybody above below Vice Admiral had to leave the island. Well, when you're fighting Nika, you can't hide things like that forever, so now there's no connection between these giant monsters and the five elders, but all it takes is one slip up. While they're wreaking their havoc and trying to stop the Iron Giant, they actually ask York how many Vegapunks are left, and York does a little, scan, connects to Punk records, feels which ones are still around. There are two left. Atlas, who we know is with Frankie and Bonnie, and Sanji's also there, and Lilith, who is currently with the rest of the Straw Hat crew, save for Luffy. The five elders all agree that York can be protected. We'll keep York because she'll, keep making science for us. But the other two are loose ends, and they need to be taken care of because as long as all three of them are alive, all three of them can still connect to Punk records. Whatever Vegapunk did, it ensured that even after his death, Punk records would live on. Which I guess I would assume means that the Brain fruit is still going to live on. It's not going to get reincarnated because even though Vegapunk himself is dead, technically Vegapunk is still alive through his remaining satellites. I'm not really worried about the safety of Lilith and Atlas anymore, though, because Luffy actually catches up with the giants. He, Dory, and Broggy hop onto the big old ship, and Lilith is perfectly safe with, you got Zoro, Jinbei, the Robin Protection Squad, as I'm going to call them right now. They're all doing very well as well, especially since Zoro managed to slice away Venus, although we didn't see Venus in this chapter, so I am wondering how that duel's going down. But the only two threats down by Atlas are Bluegrass and Doll, who are not available to fight right now because Bonnie turned them into children, and I gotta say, they are absolutely adorable. Like, Oda outdid himself with this one. Like, Bluegrass didn't change height at all because she was already a little old lady, but I just like she's like, Doll's angry, but she's just kind of looking at herself like, "Oh, wow. This is nice." And even the giraffe got turned into a baby, so there's this baby giraffe next to them too. So that's pretty cute. Bonnie laughs it off, telling them, "Hey, it's your guys' fault for letting me escape all that time ago." So, we actually see it was Kashi. I didn't realize that in the last chapter. Kashi's the one that Doll beat the crud out of. So he's kind of laying there. Oimo's like, "Wow, she really did a number on you." And so, yeah, Atlas, Lilith, they both seem like they're going to be perfectly safe. Luffy then goes into the giant ship. He makes his way to the kitchen, and the chef of the giant crew, which I don't believe we have his name, I'd have to look that up later, but the giant chef tells Luffy, Dory and Broggy warned me about your fearsome appetite, so don't worry. I have prepared a delicious Elbaf special for you to chow down on, he tells Luffy, as Luffy's already halfway through the course, and Luffy just says, like, this is good, this is great. Luffy's full, which, as everyone who's ever fought Luffy knows, Luffy's full is the most dangerous thing you can ever hear someone say. And the five elders see this as Mars, the Itsumade. He flies over, he breathes this fire, two of the giants block it at the cost of burning themselves a little, and the entire ocean starts to bounce like rubber. And the bird is watching this happen, and he's like, oh no. And that's when Luffy comes out in his Nika form, and he bounces over to Bonnie, and he goes, "Hey, Bonnie, how's it going?" And Bonnie goes, "Nika." And Luffy goes, "I still have absolutely no clue who you're talking about, but it's great that you came up with a nickname for me. Anyways, come on, we're gonna go fight the big giant bird guy together." And Bonnie just, Luffy, I appreciate you, but those guys are terrifying. I don't have the power to stop them. And Luffy goes, "What are you talking about? I saw you do it a couple seconds ago, didn't you? Like a couple panels ago, you did a big rubber punch. You were gonna do what I did. So come on, let's just do it. Let's just do it." And Bonnie thinks back to everything her dad taught her. How Nika is the embodiment of freedom. How Joy Boy could bring about the happiness in people. And Bonnie's lived her whole life in some form of captivity. Her father lived his entire life as a buccaneer slave. Even in the Revolutionary Army, he was still bound to freeing people. And then, after Bonnie was born, he was enslaved in a different way. But Bonnie finally has the belief that makes her devil fruit so dangerous. The age fruit gets stronger the more you believe things are possible. And so Bonnie asks her devil fruit to give her a future where she is the most free. And as a result, her devil fruit turns her into Nika. So now you've got two of them, and the elders are just terrified. They see Luffy as a giant sun god Nika. Bonnie's turned into a giant sun god Nika. Now there's two Nikas. And the whole while, we cut back to the Iron Giant. As Luffy's heartbeat pounds across the island, the Iron Giant says, "There." which I assume is just short for "There you are, Joy Boy." And Iron Giant maybe is gonna swim up there, or like walk across the bottom of the ocean, grab the side of the island, and climb up. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but so it'll be a 3v5 unless Venus gets distracted by Zoro. So maybe a 3v4. Pretty intense stuff this chapter. I love this. I absolutely love this panel of Luffy and Bonnie together. I play the card game. I'm really hoping that becomes a Dawn card at some point. I know the reprint pack just got announced in Japan with a bunch of cool Dawn cards, so maybe this will be like a set 11, set 12 Dawn card if it is one. It's really cool. I love this. And let me see on my notes if I missed anything. No, I really don't think there's really much else to say about this chapter. This was a nice little build-up chapter. This was just reconvening everyone together. We have, the Straw Hats up here. They are ready to jump off the island. They're going to need some help getting down, but thanks to Edison, they aren't going to land on the ground. They're going to land in the ocean, just surrounded by enemies. And Luffy has dual Nika. There are 2 Nikas now. And I know a lot of power scalers out there are going to shout out that Bonnie is way too strong now, and this totally ruins Luffy's ability because someone else can do it. You gotta remember, Bonnie's 12. Yes, Bonnie's been training to fight for some time now, but not to the extent Luffy is, not to the extent Luffy has. Luffy had the last 2 years training under Rayleigh. Bonnie might be able to throw a few punches in the Nika form. I would say for every hour Luffy could last in Nika, Bonnie could probably last a minute. Not to say that Luffy can stay in Nika form very long, but it'll be long enough for the 2 of them to help everyone else get away. And that's the important thing. This is not where the 5 elders get defeated. I want to be very clear. Knowing how One Piece works, maybe 1 elder gets defeated, if even 1 does. My bet would be Spider Stomp, but that's me. I think this is going to be both sides get away from each other. We already lost Shaka, Stella, Edison, Pythagoras. We've already lost a lot of allies. They've lost the respect of the people. And Luffy has gained infamy for being the man who killed Vegapunk. At least that's the way it'll go in the newspapers. Because Morgans controls that, I don't think Vivi's going to be able to stop him. Unless Morgans, ends up seeing the 5 elders' true form, because who could pass up big news like that? Regardless, though, I'll be there for the next chapter, and I'm sure you will be as well if you're watching these videos. Thank you for watching, as always. Please let me know in the comments below if there's anything you're hoping happens in the next chapter. And I guess I will see you in the next one. Don't think there's a break next week, but if there is, I'll come up with something to do. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.